By the mid-1960s, stock car racing was a big deal for manufacturers, and Dodge was looking for an aerodynamic improvement over the existing Coronet. And following the trends for the period, that meant a fastback body and cleaner front-end styling with hidden headlights. It took on the name Charger from the earlier Ramcharger homologation special aimed at drag racing of 1963 and 64, becoming the Coronet Charger 425 for 1965. But for 1966, it became its own model. It shared some body panels and its B-body platform with the Coronet, but the interior was unique, with a full-length center console and 4 bucket seats. More standard features also meant that it was far upmarket of the Coronet. Prices started at just over $3,100. Base engine was a run-of-the-mill 5.2-liter, 318 cubic inch, 2-barrel V8 with 230 gross horsepower, with options that included a 365 gross horsepower 361 and a 325 gross horsepower 383, although the 361 was only available for the 1 year. A base model did 60 in under 8.5 seconds, and the quarter in 16.5. But part of the point of the new Charger was to take advantage of the 426 Hemi engine developed specifically for NASCAR, so a tuned-down 425 horsepower street Hemi was the top engine, just as it was in the Coronet Charger 425. A 4-speed Hemi car did 60 in 5.5 seconds, and the quarter mile in just under 14. An RT, or Road and Track, performance package was added with your choice of the 426 Hemi or a 375 horsepower 440. Just over 50,000 of the first generation Charger would be made over its 2-year run. 1968 saw Restyle aim to take advantage of the muscle car market, and it moved considerably down market, which meant a conventional rear bench seat and fewer standard features, and a slant 6 became the base engine. It was also meant to look less like the Coronet it was based on. The fastback and flush grille were gone, but the headlights remained hidden. The 383 Magnum used an unsilenced free-flowing air cleaner for a 5-horsepower bump, and the RT was now available with Scat Pack Bumblebee stripes. 1969 saw some new packages, the first being the SE, adding upgrades that included leather, chrome, and wood grain trim, as well as an optional sunroof. But the current Charger didn't have the aerodynamic advantage of the earlier models, prompting the creation of the 500, essentially an RT with a flush-mounted Coronet grille and a smooth bubble rear window, reducing both drag and lift. But Dodge was not satisfied, so the Daytona was added mid-year. It started with the Charger 500 and added an 18-inch plastic nose cone and a 23-inch rear wing. The 426 Hemi and the 440 Magnum remained the only engine options, and production carried into 1970 with a total of 503 being made. Other 1970 models got a new bumper that wrapped around the grille, and the hidden headlights became electric instead of vacuum. The RT and 500 got a new tail light panel, and the RT got available reverse door scoops. Other upgrades included door map pockets, column-mounted ignition, high-back bucket seats, available pistol grip shifter, and 440 6-pack, as well as high-impact colors. New fuselage styling arrived for 1971, and a hood with a Ramcharger power bulge was available with a retracting air grabber style hood scoop. Internal production codes indicated the Charger was no longer a separate model, but simply a 2-door Coronet, something that was otherwise no longer available. A side effect of this being that the Super Bee was now a Charger package. Otherwise, packages carried over, although hidden headlights were now optional. 1972 would see the end of the RT and the Super Bee, meaning the Hemi and 440 6-pack were no longer offered. Only 63 Hemis were sold in 1971, and the 6-pack didn't meet new emissions regulations, although supposedly a couple of early production 72s were built before it was canceled. The performance package was now called Rally, and the 444 barrel was the top engine. The 383 was replaced by a smoother but lower compression 400 for a 5-horsepower gain. A 240 net horsepower 340 was also added to the lineup. But many options went away, including the heavy-duty rear end and suspension, and the performance axle ratios. while the SE got a distinct roofline and standard hidden headlights. Although the look remained similar, 1973 had slightly revised sheet metal to accommodate heavier bumpers and a different roofline. The hidden headlight option was discontinued, but the SE retained a special roofline with opera window treatment. Sales were up to nearly 110,000, with the Charger making a transition from performance car to personal luxury touring car. 1974 only saw minor changes, the biggest being the 340 being replaced by a 360, gaining 5 horsepower, and the Slant 6 was dropped. Although this would be the last year of this body style, it would carry on in NASCAR, remaining a major contender until 1977. A 1975 restyle saw it follow GM styling into the realm of the personal luxury coupes. Mechanically, the cars were unchanged, aside from the 440 being dropped, and the only trim level that carried over was the luxury-oriented SE. The package lineup expanded to include a base, sport, and Daytona. The base model came with a standard 225 Slant 6, and the Daytona was just an appearance package. In its top form, with its 400 cubic inch V8 and dual exhaust, it did 60 in just over 8.5 seconds, and the quarter mile in 16.5. Sales were down dramatically, partially due to its new practically identical Chrysler twin, the Cordoba. In 1976, sales nearly doubled from the year before. In 1978, the Magnum was introduced, essentially a Charger with an updated front end and square headlights. They were sold side by side as separate models, but the Charger was discontinued after less than 2,878 models were made. But it wouldn't be gone long. In 1979, Dodge introduced a coupe version of the Dodge Omni, called the Omni 024, using the same 70 horsepower inline 4 from the Volkswagen Golf as other Omnis. Plymouth also sold a version called the Horizon TC3. In 1982, with the introduction of the Chrysler 2.2-liter inline 4, Dodge got a special version of the Omni 024 called the Charger 2.2. In addition to its bigger 84 horsepower engine, it also got graphics, hood scoop, rear spoiler, and a performance gear ratio. And for 1983, all Omni 024s were renamed Charger, and the base engine was changed to a Peugeot-sourced 62 horsepower 1.6 liter. And the top model became the Shelby Charger. With a 107 horsepower version of the 2.2 liter engine, it got a re-geared manual transmission, shorter springs, quicker steering, better brakes, bigger tires, and unique front styling. The hood scoop was optional. Other Chargers got updated styling for 1984, as did the Plymouth version, now called Turismo. The Charger 2.2 and Shelby were now up to 110 horsepower, and the 2.2 got ground effects similar to those on the Shelby. Shelby models continued with the existing front-end styling, but was now offered with an automatic transmission. For 1985, the Shelby got a turbo, bumping horsepower to 146, and 60 came in 7.5 seconds, and the quarter mile in the high 15s, but only 7,700 were made. Starting in 1986, the base engine became the 2.2 liter in 96 horsepower form. In 1987, the Shelby moved to an intercooled Turbo 2 version with 174 horsepower, and just over 2,000 were made, half of which were modified into the GLHS. The GLHS used an intercooled version of the Turbo 1 engine with an updated turbo for a similar 175 horsepower, but it also gained adjustable shocks and lost its Dodge badging, being sold as a Shelby model instead of a Shelby package on a Dodge. And the only thing preventing it from being the ultimate hot hatch of the 80s was that there was an Omni GLHS that came out the year before and sold in greater numbers. But it was still a nice last hurrah for the front-wheel drive Charger, hitting 60 in just over 7 seconds and the quarter mile in the mid-15s. In 2005, Chrysler introduced a new 300 full-size sedan based on Mercedes architecture but using Chrysler engines and styling. Suspension came from the E-Class, while the S-Class provided the transmission, differential, steering, brakes, electronics, and all-wheel drive system. And the wagon version was also sold as the Dodge Magnum. The following year, Dodge got its own sedan version, with more distinct styling, taking on the Charger name. Packages carried over from the Magnum. The base SE used a 178 horsepower 2.7-liter V6, and the SXT a 250 horsepower 3.5-liter V6. Engines that carried over from the Intrepid that the Charger effectively replaced. But it also got an RT package, with the 340 horsepower 5.7-liter Hemi V8 from the Dodge Ram truck. And the RT came with a list of features inside and out that included a 5-speed instead of a 4-speed, cylinder deactivation, and traction control. You could add the Daytona package that was mostly an appearance package, but also included the upgraded suspension and exhaust of the police package for an additional 10 horsepower. But if that wasn't enough, you could opt for a 425 horsepower 6.1-liter Hemi SRT-8 or street and racing technology. The SRT-8 got its own appearance package in the form of the Super Bee, with 1,000 being built each year from 2007 to 2009, each being in a distinct color. First Detonator Yellow, followed by B5 Blue, and then Hemi Orange. The SE did 60 in 9.5 seconds and the quarter mile in 17. The SXT did 60 in just over 7 seconds and the quarter mile in the low 15s. The RT did 60 in about 5.5 seconds and the quarter mile in about 14. And the SRT did 60 in under 5 seconds and the quarter mile just over 13. 2009 saw some minor updates that included variable valve timing on the RT, bumping output to 370. And the all-wheel drive versions got a Borg-Warner torque-on-demand system that improved mileage. Restyling arrived for 2011 that included simulated door scoops reminiscent of the late 60s models, as well as LED taillights, while the police package took on the name Pursuit. The old V6s were gone, being replaced by a 290 horsepower 3.6-liter in both SE and SXT models, which also upgraded to a 5-speed, increasing to an 8-speed for 2012, the year that all-wheel drive became available on the V6. 2012 also saw the SRT-8 arrive to the new styling, with a 470 horsepower 6.4-liter Hemi and the Super Bee package that added 4-piston Brembo brakes, paddle shifter, and launch control features. 2014 added available 4-wheel drive to the Pursuit package, and there was a special edition commemorating Dodge's 100th anniversary. 2015 saw more styling updates, inside and out, for a cleaner, richer look. And the Super Bee package that was renamed Scat Pack, with the once again updated styling of 2015, when the SRT-8 became the SRT-392, and the arrival of the supercharged 707 horsepower 6.2-liter Hemi in the new SRT Hellcat, claiming the title as the fastest factory sedan at roughly 205 miles an hour. And it was able to hit 60 in less than 4 seconds and the quarter mile in less than 12. A wide-body package arrived for 2020 as an option on the RT and standard on the SRT models, while 2021 gave us the SRT Hellcat Red Eye with track-tuned suspension and 797 horsepower. This year is supposed to be the final year for the Hellcat, so get them while you can. A replacement for the current Charger is expected in 2024. Presuming it appears, it will most likely be electric, and may not even be called a Charger, although it seems unlikely they could find a more suitable name for what Dodge calls e-muscle. But it seems likely we'll know for sure sometime next year. Until then, as always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to comment below and like and subscribe.